Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us, coming to us live from Northern California, one of them towns that cost too much money. Check him out at slate.com. Joe Anderson, what's going on?
Man, I'm happy you wore purple to, to really, show up for TCU today, man. I appreciate it. I did it too. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate you both. Let
me show you just so people understand this shirt I'm wearing, and I'm going to wear it tonight. I'll tell you all about this. It's a Kiss, Do Me Baby, and Do Me Baby, and Insatiable, and Purple Rain, none of which has a damn thing to do with TCU. But I think it might, I wanted to wear
some of it.
Well, I wanted to wear this because I like the shirt, but I also feel like it'll maybe help endear me to the Minnesota fans tonight. For those of you who don't know, I'll be participating in an altcast for Turner Sports. It'll be on True TV, so the Western Conference Finals will be on TNT. I will be on True TV. It'll be me. Tonight is Jordan Cornette, Chris Haynes, and Vince Carter, and we're going to be over there hanging out watching the game. I think Bobby Portis is going to come in and join us for the show.
Bobby Portis too?
Yeah. We go, so we're going to be in there kicking it, and I just got to make sure I don't fall asleep like the last time I did one of these altcasts. I did an altcast for ESPN on the national championship game, the Georgia-Alabama one, and let's just say I made some decisions before I went in, and the consequences ultimately resulted in me getting a little sleepy.
I was actually going to ask, I was like, well, so, it might be, we never know what Vince might be into, I was like, I thought maybe I might be on that while on camera, I don't know what the standards are anymore.
All I'm saying is, I don't know. I'll be leaving that up to the hands of other people. I don't know what they about to do, right? But I'm a do what I need, / won't. You know what I'm saying?
What an assignment that is, to just be able to go watch basketball live with Vince Carter. Can you believe you get paid for that?
That's wild.
I mean, I'm just going to hang out. Me and Vince Carter, maybe Bobby Porter's going to come through, and we're going to watch basketball tonight and just talk about it.
Hold on.
Get paid for it.
Joe, not only are they paying me, right? I had a trip planned to St. Martin for this weekend that's coming up, right? And I'm going to be doing this throughout the Western Conference Finals, just so you know. So I had a trip planned, and they were like, yo, you trying to go? Trying to do this, or my representation called me, and I was like, hell no, I'm going to St. Martin. I ain't doing this. And I went through all that, and I was just like, nah, we can't do that. And then I was like, somehow I asked the first question last. Don't ask me why. And I was like, so what this gonna pay? And then they told me, and it was like, I ain't been rapping like common sense. I was like, if you don't get my ass down there to go do this.
I mean, bro, come on, man. There's just no way that, and actually, it still is a compelling dilemma, right? Because St. Martin, I've never been there. I assume this is a very beautiful place. I assume it's gorgeous. And you're going to have just nothing but bliss. It's just paradise all around you. Or might be able to just go down home, kick it a little bit, watch some basketball with the people, and get paid great for it. I mean, imagine telling 1996 Bomani Jones that.
Couldn't imagine.
That was going to be your job.
Couldn't imagine. Yeah. Let me tell you something else funny that happened. I just sent it to you, and I think Sean will be able to put a screen grab onto this because we doing this recorded style this time. But, I've been a little hard on your boy, Carl. That's Joel's boy. Joel, love Carl.
Don't do that.
Joel,
do that.
Love Carl.
Don't do
you
that.
Love Carl.
Don't do that.
You put your cape on. You put your cape on, Carl.
I thought people were being mean. I thought they were bullying the boy, and I don't think that was cool. I'm on the side of people that are bullied. You know what I mean? I don't like bullies like Jimmy Butler or whoever. There's no valor in that to me. Like, if a person has some vulnerabilities, right? Or if this person has some weaknesses or whatever, like antagonizing that doesn't make you strong to me. And I just kind of feel like Jimmy Butler's kind of getting off on that. And so it made me side with Cat for a little bit. Didn't make me think he was the best player.
That's fair. I would also make the argument that there's no valor in being a sucker. Alleged sucker. An alleged sucker. But anyway.
Oh, you still calling him a sucker after game 7?
Alleged. Okay. They beat the Nuggets. Okay. They didn't beat the allegations. Now, I sent you a tweet.
3-time MVP.
Because the Temple, they beat them. They beat them as a unit. Anyway, I sent you on your text, if you get a look at it, the Minnesota Timberwolves compiled a bunch of quotes and tweets, and it said, keep them talking, right? And look who made the cut.
I say you're number 2 right up here, man.
I am, but look at what I said. I was being nice.
They really had to plumb the depths for that one, because is that the only nice? Maybe you said something nice when he started hollering at Jordan Woods or something, because there's not another nice tweet about Cat in here, right?
Honestly, to be fair, no, there isn't. But there also aren't a lot. There aren't a lot of tweets about Karl.
That's fair.
I don't give the milk away for free no more. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
this is true. And most of what you have to say about him, I will give you fair. You are much fairer in public. I'm more restrained than you are offline.
Why'd you have to do that?
But I'll give you this, because Bo loves Jimmy Butler ass so much. He got Desmond a Jimmy Butler jersey because he know that
Yes.
First of all, I mean, I've never really, any person that's from the Houston area and just chooses to opt out and say, hey, I'm from Tomball. Like, come on, bro. What kind of brother are you?
Hold on.
That's some North Side stuff. But
no, don't blame it on North Side. This is why I respect him for his Tomball, right? Because as much as people try to say my Houston is not Houston, even though it says Houston, Texas on the address, Tomball is absolutely not Houston. And if he said he was from Houston, your Southside ass would be the first person jumping up to say that he wasn't.
I mean, it's funny because my address has never said Houston, and I get to claim Houston more than the North Side. But that's just how far y'all are.
That's not about how far we are. It's and look, I have to say this as a Houston South Side or North Side person. I have to admit this.
Yeah, look, you wanted to be down with the South Side. You made that mistake intentionally. It was kind of
I didn't want to be down with y'all, but I do make this point. The South Side don't know nothing about the North Side, because the South Side don't have to know nothing about the North Side. The North Side, like if we go to Astroworld, we ain't gonna go, right? Like if we gotta go to the South Side, you can't go. Like we just gotta know a little bit more.
Didn't y'all have like Splash Town over there or something?
Town. We did.
Okay,
and you know what? They might still have Splash Town. I know what the South Side ain't got no more. World and Water World. I know what the South Side don't got.
Well, look, I can't vouch for the South Side of this generation. My generation, we could support Astroworld and all those things, in Drumsticks and all the other places that people on the South Side know about. But actually, I wanted to, because you said on I don't know, people should follow Bomani on Instagram.
I was actually about to break this up. I was actually going to break this
up. Okay. Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that. So I was flying down to Atlanta to do this, whatever. I normally don't tell y'all where I be, but here I am. So I was flying down to Atlanta. I'm here. Turner hit me up. I'm glad they put the right time with Bomani Jones posters up there. That ain't no graphic either, man. They were kind enough to put these on the wall for your boy, which is good, because otherwise I'd be sitting here on camera talking about, I am fine. They are treating me well. I am eating 3 meals a day, but please understand these people are serious. I look a little hot. But somebody sent me a question about what do you miss the most about Houston? You got to remember, man, I left Houston damn near 30 years ago at this point. But they asked me, what did you miss the most about Houston? And I said, the scenery. And I want to make sure I get it exactly right, what the dude said to me, to make me have to clarify this, because he asked me what I liked about Houston, and he said the scenery, and I said the scenery. And there's somebody else came back and said, what do you mean by scenery? To which my response was, you ever been to Houston? I can only be talking about one thing, and it ain't the lay of the land. Because let me show you the lay of the land. Let me see if they got anything here that I can use to display the lay of the land. Anything at all. I don't have anything. Oh, yes, I do right here. Okay. This is the ticket from my valet. You see this? This how Houston look. This how Houston look. You can stand somewhere in Houston and see all the way to Dallas. It's just, it is not an aesthetically pleasant place.
It's so funny because the interesting, like, I remember growing up, and you don't sit around thinking about how pretty your town looks.
Right.
But I remember people clowning, man, Houston all ugly with all that concrete and highways. And I'm like, oh, y'all, that's how you judge a city? Like how it looks? I'd never thought of it. The point of a city was to be beautiful, because Houston clearly didn't have it. We didn't have nothing that we could be like, hey, man, you should go over there. That's a real nice side of town. You can look at that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah. You want to go to Galleria,
No, look, man, in Jason's lyric, they thought they had found a pretty part of Houston, and it still wasn't pretty enough. So you know what they had to do to make it extra pretty? Hey Jada, why don't you take all your clothes off?
And it's like, hey man, look, we can dress this up in this field of flowers. You know, we can figure it out. I'm sure they went somewhere off like Oyster Creek. They were probably out there wherever Sienna Plantation is today. I'm sure that's what that is.
Let me tell you something about that scene, dog. They could have had her in the middle of Montgomery Street in Acres Homes. They could have had her on the side of 288. It didn't matter where she was or nothing of it. You want to talk about a formative moment, Jack? Good gracious.
Between her and Lisa Nicole Carson back in that day.
Okay, but Lisa Nicole Carson was just slanging food and this is it. They let Jada Pinkett. I hate that movie so much, by the way. I don't know if you've ever talked about that.
Why would they let them talk like that?
Yo, they was disrespecting us at every turn.
I was like, I don't, because you know how people are about Texas, at least certainly back then. They're like, oh, you ride a horse to school and stuff like that. That's in the 90s when, people couldn't be as exposed to our culture. And so I'm like, did y'all actually visit town when y'all did this? Because I don't know anybody to talk like that. That's not from Houston.
Everybody, they said, I'm down for the thug life.
I mean, dog, Tretch, I mean, who's he supposed to be, man? Who's he supposed to be?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Alan Payne was more realistic in CB4 than he was in Jason's lyrics, as far as I'm concerned.
Bro, you know what? Did Bokeem really do an accent though? That's the thing.
Yes, he did do an accent. Yes, he
did a little accent.
Yo,
I didn't think he was kind of the star of the movie though. Yo, he kind of stole the scenes.
This whole change up where he's supposedly a respectable actor. When did that happen? How did that happen? Because he was terrible, I tell you, throughout the 90s. You ever see that movie with him and Cinda Williams? What's it called? Caught Up? One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I do remember that. That was, hey, you know what actually is the more shocking thing about Bokeem Woodbine from a 90s movie? Have you ever seen Reese Witherspoon's debut movie? They ran it on HBO and like Showtime late at night. I'm going to say this is like Reese Witherspoon's first movie. I'm sure somebody will get the name of it for us. I mean, the only time I've ever seen somebody kiss somebody like that on camera was like, I feel like every time Shawn Wayans had a chance to kiss somebody on the Wayans brothers, like his mouth was like halfway down her throat. So I don't know if I'm putting people on game because in the 90s, this was jarring or whatever, 90s or early 2000s. Right. Yes.
I just want to make sure that I understand what you just told me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie where Bokeem Woodbine is kissing Reese Witherspoon.
The extremely young Reese Witherspoon.
Is it a movie about lynching?
It's kind of, I think it's supposed to be the modern day take on Little Red Riding Hood. I know it sounds crazy.
Oh, he a wolf? That's what we saying? He a wolf?
I mean, now to come to think of it, I didn't even, because I'm watching this and just tantalized. I'm like, they let Bokeem Woodbine kiss this little white girl on camera like this. It was scary. So this is a generation ago. I was like, hey, man, we might be in trouble. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't tell people too many people about this movie, bro.
Look. They know, all them stories they had about everything Tupac had to do for them to let him get close to Janet Jackson, because they was just like, yo, man, you can't let him get this close to the money. Ain't no telling what's gonna happen.
Some obstacles.
Yeah, let me tell you this: if I was Tupac, you know how fitted I'd be if I found out that Reese Witherspoon was like, yeah, I'll kiss Bokeem Woodbine, but Janet Jackson put me through the ringer.
I mean, bro, made him take an AIDS test, and they didn't even have a sex scene, bro. They didn't even. There wasn't. I mean, Janet did not get nude, because I know I would have remembered that if she got.
No. It's just that scene where she laying on the bed and she got like one hand right here and one hand right here, and in the commercial they was playing the Again joint, right? And she got the braids, and she's like trying to get that all figured out. Because let me tell you something. You was like, did she get nude in that movie, brother? That would not have been no question. You heard the way I just talked about Jada Pinkett butt naked in that field. Like, Janet, let me tell you something, and I'll be real about this, and I don't think I'm wrong, okay? You ever been to a Janet Jackson concert?
I have not.
I went to a Janet Jackson concert. I want to call it like 2016, somewhere in there. I went with a woman, but you'd be surprised how many straight dudes went there just with the homies, right? Like, Janet Jackson's in that space where like she there, right? So I'm at the Janet Jackson concert and I'm watching that, and the dudes is there and they living it up. And all I'm saying is this: a Janet Jackson movie, or a movie where Janet Jackson got naked, I don't even know what is at the top right now. Is it like Avatar one of them Star Wars movies, that whatever number one, number two. If it was a movie they said Janet Jackson got naked, it'd be a line all the way down the block.
Do you know what it would be? It would be like Halle Berry and whatever, Swordfish. Is that the movie? It would be just like that. It would be like, okay, I know exactly what movie it is. The movie's terrible, probably didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about. If that had happened, you're absolutely right. Janet Jackson's the first woman I was ever attracted to, I'm pretty sure.
Let me tell you what it would be, man. When I was in college, it was this girl from Buffalo. I think she was from Buffalo. And she ran track. Yeah, she ran track, right? I just remember that part that she ran track. And my alma mater was small enough that word could travel about something on the right day, right? And so basically a whisper campaign came around and was like, yo, and I'm gonna just throw a name out there, right? You see Keisha in that dress today? Right? Like you just heard, I feel like a couple times that day, I heard about Keisha in that dress. And I'm kind of like, all right, whatever, right? So we in the cafeteria and she rolled up. And it was like a movie, right? Like it was like, you are my shining star. Don't you go away. Right. That was what they was playing on Friday, right? When Nia Long was running down the block. Like it was like it was a sweater dress. You know what I'm saying? Which as somebody from Houston, I don't think I even knew the things existed in 1998.
I mean, bro, that's a whole new, that changed it up for you. Yeah.
Bruh, she rolled up. And I'll just never forget, man. I literally heard silverware dropping. I heard dudes dropping they folks. I saw cats. One dude, he's one of them loud New York dudes. He had the back. He's like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Yo, god damn, son. God damn, right? Dudes was dapping each other up. Like, it was just like, it was something that we all shared. It was something we all experienced. All I'm saying is that it would have been the ultimate whisper campaign about this Janet Jackson movie. I don't know what the movie would have had to be. It could have been 15 Years a Slave, the sequel. And all they told us that Janet Jackson was up in it, and even the Hoteps was going to be in there. Like, hey, the revolution like it like that too.
But you know what's crazy? We say all of this, man. And like, admittedly, like for me, if you had asked me pretty much up until the age of 25 who the finest woman in the world was, I probably would have said Janet Jackson. But isn't it crazy that when we finally got to see her, that it just created like, I don't know, it like ruined her career. I mean, but like when we finally got to see,
that's a great
Janet Jackson. When we finally like this one moment, because I'll never forget. I was watching this. I lived in Oklahoma City. I was on the phone with my boy. My back was turned, and my dad says, "Oh shit, a titty popped out." and so I never saw it because this is before YouTube, so it took me forever. Like I just could never get to it. But I'm just like, yo, like. Imagine finally getting the opportunity to see it and it causing a whole national crisis.
Bruh, I didn't see it at all the moment it happened. I was in London, right? I got flown out to sit for this Michael Jackson documentary. So I'm in London and a friend of mine, she was like, hey, let's go. They having a Super Bowl party at some club, right? So it's middle of the night, London time, right? And we there. Yeah. And I remember the halftime comes, but it wasn't, A, we wasn't in the setup to really watch the halftime show. And B, this doesn't get discussed enough. You want to talk about a lineup I had no interest in. Wasn't that the like Nelly and Aerosmith were on that bill too? Like it was like a hodgepodge of people.
It was really bad.
Right.
It was
and
really
then
bad.
Next thing you know, my homegirl come back and she go, yo, Janet Jackson's titty popped out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And everybody is telling me that they thought it was orchestrated or whatever it was. And then I remember I saw the clip and I saw her face and I saw the way that she looked at him. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean,
that was not the plan.
That was not the plan. Man, well, I mean, how audacious that is, bro. That's crazy. I mean, if Janet Jackson had lit me near her body at any point, I don't know that I would have taken any liberties that she did not allow me to take. You know what I mean?
Right.
Can you imagine being so empowered and feeling like, oh, it is cool, man. I'm just going to go ahead and take this off. Janet Jackson. I mean.
Right. And of all people, that's
of all people.
Like I am sick of internet panderers, particularly pandering males, right? Like they're gonna mess this whole WNBA thing up that's trying to get started, right? Like it nothing infuriates me more than just watching people get on these soapboxes and causes and they ain't changing nothing. They just trying to impress the people around them. But man, that movement against Justin Timberlake, baby, I was here for it. And in fact, I was here for it, but I viewed that in a way very similar to the way that I viewed this Drake situation. Y'all let it happen in the first place.
Ooh, really?
Y'all you let it happen in the first place. They was acting.
You think Justin Timberlake got too comfortable?
Not like us. Not like us. He the original, not like us.
Man, it's kind of crazy because that debut album was kind of dope. I mean, it's all Pharrell stuff, right?
But
like
this is Pharrell and Timberland, right?
Yeah, and Timberland, yeah. So it could have gone to Usher, it could have gone to anybody in that time, but it just happened to go to Justin Timberlake.
And you know who had the critique of them? He didn't do it as long as he did another critique. But Ray Benzino made that point. Pharrell was out here talking about Justin Timberlake, remind him of Marvin Gaye. And Ray was like, dog, too soon. He was just a little too busy embarrassing himself, trying to take down Eminem.
I mean, you really pulled out Ray Benzino is the word.
He was right though.
The man of reason right here. I was like, what happened? I don't even remember that. But
it was in the chorus. It was in that issue of The Source where they ripped Eminem's head off and everything was going on in this interview with Benzino playing chess. I'll never forget that. It was a shot of him playing chess, and he just had one line about Justin Timberlake, and of course the rest of it, he still hated Eminem to this day. The rest of it was all about that stuff.
Oh yeah, he was crying about it recently on camp. Actually, Benzino tweeted something. Benzino once threatened me on Twitter, and I can't remember what it was about. So I really should be careful.
Benzino, I don't remember if Benzino threatened me on Twitter, but I do remember blocking him in some form, and he said something to the effect of "You fear me," and I don't know if I would have used the word fear,
right?
But I could not say he was wrong.
I mean,
a leather jacket saved Paul Pierce's life, allegedly at the hands of those allegedly.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was like, is that okay to bring up now? But
allegedly.
So allegedly him and the Made Men, right? Allegedly.
Here's my thing, man.
Allegedly.
Would you know the Made Men if they walked in here right now? Do you know who the Made Men are? It's Benzino and them. Just like the RSO is Benzino and them. The only one I know is Benzino.
Well, Made Men had that one joint on the Belly soundtrack with the Locks. So that's what I know them from.
Okay.
You know? I think was it the Locks?
That sounds, they
Memphis Bleak. I don't know.
I don't know how we wound up here like 20 minutes into the situation where we got there. But it leads to where we're going to go for most of this. We're going to tease this up a little bit. But I had Joel on because I want to talk about Diddy. And for those of you who don't know, Joel, who, by the way, very recently won some form of internet award. Was it a Webby? Did you get the Webby?
Well, yeah. So the what is it called? The Ambies. We won Podcast of the Year, which means I had the best podcast in the whole country. You know? No, but now I'm just joking. Thank you. No, seriously, I appreciate that. And then we did win a Webby. It was like a People's Choice Award winner. So yeah, that's the season for giving. You know.
That's what's up, man. So Joel did a slow burn season that, as I do the math on it now, I believe was, I say, 6 años, about 6 years ago, 2018?
Yeah, well, 2019, man.
Yeah,
2019,
Joel did a slow burn season on the Biggie and Tupac, I guess, rivalry, we'll call it. I don't know the most appropriate term to use. I'm glad he did it because I was on a panel with him, and it allowed me to meet Easy Mo B, right? And a few of them cats. Oh, yeah. Like that was a huge big deal to me that I got to meet Easy Mo B, right?
Easy Mo B, he a cool brother, man.
Easy Mo B got beats, boy, right? And so man. I got to meet him. It was funny because I sat on the panel with Joel, and I came to it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna help Joel up to talk about his stuff, and Joel was trying to talk to me, and I was like, no, baby, we gonna talk about you, you know?
You would. I mean, the reason we put you on the marquee is that people want to come hear you talk. They already heard me talk, so I was like, let me start asking Bo some questions.
Man, I was out here trying to put in my homeboy Hall of Fame application. I'm like, no problem, Joel. I got you. I'm your wingman. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
That's where I was
you being there was enough, but yeah, I appreciate that.
But Joe did that, and so he is an authoritative figure in a way. When it comes to talk about Diddy, like going back to then and then bringing us to now. And also, you graduated from high school in 96. I graduated in 97. Like, he is I realized when Kobe Bryant died that I grew up with Kobe. Like it was after the fact. Like I had more passionate opinions about Kobe than any other basketball player than I'd ever had because he was literally a contemporary and in a very unique way that made it feel like there was a proximity or whatever. But then you look up one day and you just stop and say to yourself, man, this dude or the idea of him in some form of fashion has been like a seminal figure in our lives, right? Like that was as a sports fan in particular, that's what Kobe was. But when you think about with Diddy, there's a through line to Diddy really for the last almost 35 years of Black music or pop music. And a lot of the changes that we've seen, he's that important. He's a Berry Gordy type figure if Berry Gordy wasn't as good at being a record executive. Because that's the funny thing about Puffy, and I don't think anybody really talks about. After Biggie, what are we really discussing here?
I mean, there's not much.
You know what I mean? Like he rode a wave. He's not terribly different than Master P. Like Birdman is a much more effective record man than Puffy was. Birdman kept that. Birdman kept that going. Birdman has been a legitimate, successful record executive with acts and everything for basically 30 years.
Okay, well, Bo, you say that though. If we start with Biggie, but if we go back and we say, all right, now you can mix Mary J. Blige, Jodeci into that. If you add that to the legacy, it makes it look a little better.
No, you're right. It does make it look better. But after whatever came surrounding Biggie, after that, what are we talking about here?
I mean, Black Rob was
he had a song.
I mean,
he had a song.
Yeah, he had a song. The joint with G Dep.
That's what I'm saying. It's joints.
Yeah.
Right? Like this one.
I Need a Girl
here.
And Point Part 2.
Right. I'm saying it's joints, it's things or whatever.
Yeah.
But he remained in our faces as a personality, like as a guy, as a thing, as an entity, even if all them like the magazines he was trying, all of that stuff, none of it, I don't feel like any of it really bore fruit in the way that one would think given the level of fame that he has. But that's all over now. And that's what we are going to talk about, why it's over and what comes next after this break. Playoff basketball is heating up, and Prize Picks is the most simple way to get in on the action. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and submit your lineup. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hear from me, let's hear from somebody who actually uses Prize Picks. Sean, how do Prize Picks going for you?
You know, Bo, you win some, you lose some, and I've had some close breaks this playoffs, but to me, the best part about Prize Picks is the injury assurance they offer so that your lineups stay in play, even if, one of your players gets hurt this playoff basketball season. So let's say your player exits a game in the first half and doesn't return. Prize Picks has your back, and it won't count as a loss. And look, not that I want injuries to happen in the playoffs. It's reassuring. I won't get penalized for it.
No, that's a big deal. There you go. Sean is asking for injuries in the playoffs, guys. It's that kind of guy. Anyway, make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Hey, it's almost summer, which means more time outdoors. I personally love going for a walk in the park, and I always make sure I'm rocking a nice pair of sunglasses. Thanks to our good friends at Shady Rays, they have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Sean, what's your relationship like with sunglasses?
Bo, for me, living in Los Angeles, a big part of it is, wearing a nice pair of shades. But, one of the issues that I always deal with is I'm always either losing them or breaking them. But the best part about Shady Rays is if, your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, you don't have to worry. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. Plus, if you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair worry-free. Within 30 days, there's no risk when you shop, and the team always has your back with personal support.
And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code Bomani for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, so, we've all, at least most of us, have seen the video of Diddy with Cassie. You're gonna have to find it on your own. We ain't gonna put it up here. It is jarring, right? Like it's like the Ray Rice video
It's Ray Rice
of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's up there. The Ray Rice video was a bit more jarring because Ray Rice knocked her out cold with that punch, and then then he do like one of these and then drag her.
Yeah, and then drag her off the camera. Yeah, it was
but
pretty horrific.
What made the Ray Rice, and I'm not trying to like tit and tat abuse videos, but viscerally watching the Ray Rice video, what got me was he just seemed to be like, dust his hands off, drag her away, no big deal, right?
Right.
Puffy looks unhinged in that video, running down the hallway with a towel on. Like, it seems very clear he was in the shower or something like that. And she was like, I got my chance to get out of here. Like that Tina Turner, Ike Turner thing where, she finally breaks free and then runs across the freeway to get to the other hotel, right? She was almost out. And then this crazy motherfucker come over, still on her, kick her while she's on the ground, pull her around the corner.
Threw something at her.
Yeah. And it was just like, whoa. And what it made me think about, and I was curious your thoughts on this again, as somebody who came up in that time as I did, and you, somebody who's done more research and knows more on these things. It always seemed at the time as though you had the super thug Suge Knight on one side and them gangsters over there that were like a true menace to society. And then on the other side, it was a smoother, seemingly less G'd up dude like Puffy, right? Like he seemed, and at the Source Awards, we, arguing for peace after Suge basically got up there and called him a sucker, right? Like he
Right.
seemed like that guy. And actually, it turns out he's this other guy.
Right. It's interesting. I heard Allen Iverson on the Knuckleheads podcast talk about how people came down on him, because of the way he dressed or whatever. He didn't want to wear a suit. And he's like, I don't like wearing a suit. I don't feel comfortable like that. And he's like, I don't know why I thought of this as being a profound point because I've thought about it before, but he's like, man, how did the suit get to become the standard? He's like, John Gotti, Al Capone, all these people wore suits. That was what they were famous for. It's like, how do people get fooled by a suit? And I really think that was what Puffy was a master at, man. Getting people to believe that he possessed some sort of class or like gentleness that made him substantially different from Suge or whatever. But it's Suge, and a lot of those dudes said, they're like, this is all an act, bro. Like Puffy right here with us. He's right here with us. He's somebody to be reckoned with, somebody that people fear in the same way they fear me. The disadvantage that Suge had in that public perception was that he was 6'4", 300 pounds, and wore red all the time. So he wasn't hiding who he was. It was pretty up there for you. Whereas Puffy, it's like, oh, he went to Howard. He went to private school. He was the master of style. Like he's the guy that would, take dudes off the street, dress them up. Like he had just had a gift for knowing how to present himself. And that really did do him a lot of favors throughout the 90s. Really up until a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah, and it's funny when you put it in those terms, and I wonder this where, and I don't know that much about Suge Knight's background, like in sum total, how far his gangster stretches and where it went. But one fun fact of Suge Knight, something he and Dr. Dre have in common. You know what I'm about to mention, right?
I think so, yeah.
They both got a baby with Michelet.
Oh, I thought you were about to say they both came from two-parent homes.
Right, no. But I don't know if he has a baby, but they both dated Michelet.
Yes, they both dated. They both dated
Michelet. What it sounds like, whatever the relationship was with Dre and Michelet or any other stuff with Dre, it sounded like that was a bit more fraught, shall we say, than whatever it was with Suge. And we got the Dr. Dre, D Barnes thing, all this stuff. I wonder this as it relates to a guy like Dre and a guy like Puff. Because Suge so looked the part and lived the part in a lot of ways, he ain't really have to go out here and prove it.
Right.
Finger quotes. Right? Like, he ain't have to put on no airs about his gangster. His gangster is pretty certified up and down. And he was a giant dude, so it ain't that many people messing with him or whatever it is. And I've always wondered with Puff where it gets to a point where you feel like you need to be a certain something. And then that becomes you. Like the monster that you pretend to be becomes the monster that you actually are.
Yeah, and I would even having talked to some folks around Suge that worked at Death Row. Suge was not a member of the gang, but he was in the neighborhood that was affiliated, right? And then as you get older, we've seen pictures of Kendrick with a bunch of dudes in red standing in the backyard.
Yeah, LA
like,
different.
It's just a culture, right? It's just a culture. And so, but to your point, right? Suge was able to. I mean, he's also in an industry with a lot of little dudes. He didn't have to do much. He didn't have to prove much. He could beat people up. Whereas you're right. Puffy, I think, kind of came to it a little less. You think? I don't even know if I would say he came to it less naturally. I think he always, to maneuver in the music industry in the way that he has, you do kind of have to have people that protect you, you know, because you're dealing with people that are desperate, you know, and or dangerous themselves. So you do need to like learn how to navigate that. But I think you're right that the further he got into it, it's kind of the same thing people said after Tupac played Bishop and Juice. It was just like Puffy spent so long, you know, protecting himself, you know, trying to pull himself through that East Coast, West Coast rivalry. And you affiliate yourself with folks for so long, you come to fear and want to protect yourself, and you get so deep into it that eventually, yeah, you're right. Like you become sort of a monster on your own, which doesn't say that like that wasn't in him already, but like I'm sure that could only have exacerbated anything that was going on there, right?
Well, and it's also easy to look at it, especially now when the allegations of his violence against women come up. And I think it's easy to look at it as simply like bullying those weaker than him, which obviously is a big part of what this is. Mm-hmm. But hey, man, he ran up on Steve Stout with that champagne bottle. You remember that?
Bro, he threw a kettlebell at a UCLA assistant football coach.
Yeah, we thought it was funny.
Yeah, like there's like when you think about it, that is unhinged. First of all, I mean, you do not want no problems with any assistant strength coach, bro. I mean, I don't. That's the person you least want to fight in any situation.
Joe, you as a former football player who played at the college level, tell me if I'm wrong in what I'm saying. The strength coach's job is to make you mad enough to fight him and instead lift weights.
Yeah, exactly.
Which means he is prepared to fight you if it comes down to it. And I have heard stories about guys trying to fight the strength coach, and guess who won every time?
Bro, I mean, leverage. They know about leverage, you know, and pressure points. So yeah, like in retrospect, it seemed kind of crazy, but now we're like, oh, that is literally unhinged behavior. I mean, speaking of the last few weeks, I mean, you know, there were the allegations that he slapped Drake.
I don't even think that was an allegation.
He ran up on him and slapped. I got video of that, right? Yeah. So I mean, like, this is a dude who actually, and these are all happening kind of in the same span of time, like that 2014, 2016 era, which doesn't mean that he wasn't unhinged in other times, but it really seems like those few years, he had a lot of really bizarre incidents that we sort of wrote off as like, that's just in the news. I'm sure it's, you know, exaggerated, but no, it's clearly something else was going on.
No, but then you look and you see like Misa, the woman that he had, you know, they was with the woman in the Miss Hilton, yes, in the hot tub in the Big Papa video. And you see the stuff she's put on Instagram. Like, I know what this sounds like. The people who are around Kim Porter saying things. And we looked at that stuff that Puffy was doing, where he would have all his baby mamas on the boat and then have Cassie out there and they all there together at the same time. And we almost looked at that as like being charming, like, oh, the good baby daddy, right? Like, if everybody's going to come, everybody gets to come and everything else. And I remember that when Cassie turned up with the new dude, that you'd see a lot of people, because we way too invested in these strangers' lives. And especially when like you would see women online talking about, well, Cassie dated that rich man for ... She played it right. And now she's with this person that makes her very happy. No, apparently she was in there getting her ass beat by this dude. And apparently all these women through this. And it doesn't sound like this was a mystery to the people who were involved or people around the game and around the industry. It doesn't sound like people didn't know that this was his get down. So like we could talk about 2014, 2016, but it sounded like in 1995, he was out here acting bad.
It's interesting because the thing is, the people that felt empowered to talk prior to that were people that probably had their own credibility issues. You know, like this was Biggie's bodyguard, right? Like, who is that guy? Or an artist who may have had a grudge against
Mark Curry.
Right? Mark Curry. Mark Curry, yeah, exactly. I mean, follow Mark Curry is very interesting. That's a very interesting cat.
Hold on, read Mark Curry's book. If you get the chance and you can still find it somewhere, Mark Curry's book is fascinating.
I ordered it. I think I have it online. It's a very good. Well, it's an interesting book. It's revelatory in a lot of different ways.
And very dark at the end.
Yeah. Yes. Very. Mark is a I mean, Mark Man would take you there. He told me one time, he said something about, I was talking to him. He's like, bro, I want to take you real deep, real deep. He just took a real long puff on something. He's like, yo, like, I wish I could remember. It was something about death. Like we spent an inordinate amount of time talking about death. And I was like, bro, like you kind of scare me, you know, like this is, your brain goes in places that are really scary. But like he presents that person on camera and people are inclined to be like, I don't know if this is a credible witness against Puffy. Puffy. I'm showing how old I am. Diddy.
I'm sticking with Puffy. You ain't gonna look. You ain't gonna. I ain't falling for no rebrand. I know who you are. You Puffy.
Right. I mean, yeah. It's just we can't help it, right? So he's Puffy for the purposes of this discussion. He's going to be Puffy. So yeah. So he's that dude. But I mean, it just took. I really think it took this sort of thing. Like now you can see all these other allegations and people are feeling more comfortable coming out because inevitably they see that, oh, okay, he's vulnerable now. He can't get me in quite the way that he can. He can't not put my album out. He can't prevent me from going on this tour. He can't prevent me from getting this endorsement deal or whatever. So now people feeling power. But yeah, right. Them other years, the 90s or whatever, the people that were willing to speak really had nothing to lose. And so people were like, why would I trust them over this dude who wear a nice suit?
Right.
You know?
Well, also, I think the music industry is historically rooted in criminality. Like the music industry was run by the same people who ran the boxing game. And so just about everybody that's in the boxing game got a little bit of crook in them because you can't navigate without it. Like, did you watch Black Godfather on Netflix, the Clarence Avant doc?
I've not seen that. No.
Okay.
No.
Rest in peace to Clarence Avant, by the way. You need to watch it. One of my great disappointments and one of those things that makes me feel like I ain't the cold beast I would like to think I am. Number one, I live past 27. Clearly, I'm not what I thought. You know what I'm saying? I should be dead right now. I should be another statistic. You know what I'm saying? That's the most arrogant thing anybody can say. I should have died at 27. You know, so there's that. And number two, I never just got a call from Clarence Avant wanted to be my friend. I wanted to find a way somehow to go meet Clarence Avant because it was so fascinating watching that documentary. But the way that Avant got in the game is somehow he had made some relationship with a mob affiliated dude named Joe Glazer. And his calling card into every room was Mr. Glazer sent me, Mr. Glazer sent me, Mr. Glazer sent me. And that's how he got in the game. That's how the music game worked. Like it was a mob game. And then it spread out a little bit, you know, and then went in different directions. But you hear about all these guys and like the Big Red from 5 Heartbeats and all of this stuff. That's the way that game goes. And so if you get in it and you're not one of them dudes, them real dudes is going to test you. And on some level, you going to need to be and become that. So I wonder if also in part, you're not hearing that much coming out of that game about Puff because the game is full of a bunch of dudes like him. There ain't that many people that can stand on business and come out and say, well, no, I would never do anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, actually, that's a great point because, I mean, you're right. I mean, just imagine, you know, Puff having to work for coming from the R&B side and you want to get into hip hop. I mean, you got to show that you're willing to be a tough businessman. Otherwise, those dudes are going to punk you, man. You know, I mean, they're looking at you as a mark. So you've got to like find ways to defend yourself and protect yourself. And I mean, bro, anybody just look up Anthony Wolf Jones, like the dude that Puff used to run with, man. Like Puff ran with some real gangsters, bro, you know, and
Will Smith used to run with some real gangsters.
Bro, yes, man. I mean, the music industry is crazy in that way. I mean, pretty much, I mean, like, you're right. Like, most record labels, the way that they're founded, the money, the way it comes from, bro, like, it's not coming from bank investments. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's like nobody hit it big in real estate and decided to start a record label, you know? Like, the way that they get their money is from dudes who are out there in the field doing it, bro. And, like, Puffy, I mean, his father was a legendary Harlem hustler, man, you know? And people, I'm not going to say people forget that, but, you know, again, Puffy being the master reinvention that he is, knowing how to present himself and people can always sort of win these publicity wars against folk because they didn't think, oh man, that dude has the heart of a killer, bro. Yeah. Like, I mean, the Locks, I thought those were some dangerous dudes. Instead, they had to take their case public and beg to get off the label. They didn't go beat Puff up, right?
And they connected to dudes.
And they connected to dudes.
They connected to dudes. So I'm curious what you think about this level of it, because I think that this applies to Puff. This applies to, we'll call it Harvey Weinstein. It applies to a lot of people whose names you don't know. And I think the power that a lot of these guys have that we don't talk about really in the right terms is they have a very unique and profound power, which is they are those who can make dreams or kill them. Like they are dealing with people who want this thing, whatever this thing is, so bad. Like, let's be honest about this. We were talking about this a little bit before we got started. You were talking about it particularly with me, but I think it applies to you also. In a lot of ways, cats like me and you, we are living some of our wildest dreams, right? Like thinking about some of the people you've talked about in this conversation. I had a conversation with, right? I was talking to such and such. You can go through your phone and I can do the same. And there's people in our phones, we can't believe that we can just talk to them about things, right? People we looked up to are now our peers in a lot of ways.
Clyde Drexler called me by accident once.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Clyde Drexler called me by accident once. I mean, but like just
like that's
you could not have told 1994 Joel that, you know?
That's so crazy. And those are things that we can't believe happened. But the truth is, neither one of us were like, I'm gonna go make this dream come true, right? Like we were like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, and then after we got there, some of the dream stuff started happening, right? But if you're gonna be a musician, you're gonna be an actor, you're gonna be like an athlete in those sorts of things, and somebody tells you it's all here, like Floyd Landis. Sounds crazy as a parallel, but Floyd Landis, and the point that he made was he got all the way there, and then he out here with Lance Armstrong, and Lance is like, look, this is what we do here. Okay? Get on and get gone. You don't want to take this shit, you ain't got to take it. But you going to have to get out of here, because that's what the post office team is about, right? Like, this is what it is. And you go look at everything that you did and everything that you put on that dream, and you going to say to yourself, nah, I get off here. No, you go pull your pants down, stick your booty up, and be like, hey, stick me. Right? That's what that man wound up doing, right? And so all these people, they get into these places and they get into the precipice of whatever their dream is, and it's a video game boss at the end, and you thinking it's cool, we gonna shake hands, and he like, no, here's what this about to be, right? Like what you think Cassie was gonna say? Hey, sorry, I don't date people I work with.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, so you got somebody, they like, hey man, you're beautiful or you're really talented. I can make you a star. They've done it before, right? And they're still famous. And then they're like, hey, come on tour. I'm going to show you, bring you out on the life. You get a little taste of it, man. And they lure you in. And it's like, okay, you keep doing this for me, and then we'll start working on your album. You do this for me, I'll get you your production deal. And they can just kind of, 5 or 6 years can go by real quick, man. So you're right. Like so you're getting a taste of the life, but you're also beholden to him because you don't have anything in your name. You've not built a career on your own. So you become dependent on him, and he knows that. He grooms you for that, and he can take advantage of it for as long as you're willing to suffer.
Joe, didn't they say he bought Biggie's whole publisher for 20 G's?
Yeah, man. I mean,
for 20 G's.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro.
The publisher on the Biggie Smalls catalog, that's probably an asset worth 9 figures.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's right. Yeah,
like albums worth too. Like that's probably something worth in the neighborhood of 9 figures as like a lifetime value sort of thing. He bought it from that man for 20 G's. Part of it is the young dude ain't thinking it out that far, but the other part is he say he gonna make my dreams come true. And then even if he can't say he gonna make my dreams come true, he say he can kill my dreams.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you really? I mean, again, you see the Cameron and Mace joint.
Yeah.
Where Cameron asked Mace, he's like, hey man, why did you take me to Biggie and not Puff? And Mace was like, because I knew Big would basically
do right by you. He said, I want to take somebody who would do right by you.
Who do right by you. With the implication is that Puffy would not. And everybody, I mean, again, it's just kind of crazy that his celebrity and fame has endured for as long as it has, because again, his artists have not been quiet about how he's jerked them over the years. Like it's been a long running piece of it ever since Biggie died. Basically, every artist that followed has had a problem with him.
And he has not demonstrated his own particular talent. Like, you want to talk about a colonizer? Every like that was the story of the Mark Curry
makes
book.
that point.
Is every time somebody had a dope song, Puffy's like, yeah, let me get that. Let me get that.
But yeah, he was like, what is his talent? That's what Mark Curry. He really put me aside. He's like, what is his talent? I'm like, well, shit, I don't know. You were in the rooms with him, but the implication was like, yo, he just knew how to take credit for things.
Right.
He knew how to get a cut, and he knew how to take credit.
Right.
Right.
And look, he's a virus, man. And I say virus in the sense that I've heard this virus analogy used about people in general and about certain subsets of people in particular. Won't get into that right now, but the idea of the virus is it shows up and it ravages everything that's there until there's nothing left, and then it goes, right? The argument that Curry makes in that book, and he's not the only person to say it, but it's like, why do all of Puffy's people end up dead, in jail, or with God?
Yeah.
He's like, they
That's
all end up in those places, dead in jail, or they give their lives to God. Every single one of them. There's a trail of destruction with all the people who have been around him.
Craig Mack, G-Dep, Loon, Black Rob. Black Rob died homeless, bro.
Yes.
I mean,
you remember
Black Rob died homeless.
Craig Mack, who he built the whole label on the back of Flavor in Your Ear. And in what was it, Rhyme or Reason? Is it Rhyme or Reason? Where he's sitting there at the table eating cereal, looking broke as hell.
Yes. Yeah, man. Poor Craig Mack. But yes, that's
Rest in peace.
That movie. Yeah, man. I mean, and again, I mean, nobody wants to blame Puff explicitly for what happened to Biggie. The people that killed Biggie, but people could reasonably be like, why would you have had him out there so long in a place that was hostile to him, right? Like in all these public places, like anybody that cared about him would be like, maybe we should just chill on that for
on
a while,
bad
right?
leg.
Maybe, on a bad leg, man. You know, maybe we should do that. Now, the people that were around, you know, at that time say, you know, they were kind of like, why is Puff moving like this? Why are they still out there? So, yeah, man. I mean, it's not like he's shown a lot of concern. I mean, bro, what was the name of that group? Not Day 26. Who was the girls group? Danny Kane? Like, yeah, old girl, not Aubrey. Is that her name? Aubrey. Yeah, I mean, she talked about how he is, bro, and how what he did and how he hindered their career. So yeah, man, it's actually a sort of a miracle that he's been able to endure as a sort of really popular, I'm not gonna say lovable cultural figure, but like, prior to this, did you really think of him as a dude that was a lot of static around? Like, I just thought of him as a dude that liked to party.
Right.
You know?
Dude, I told you I got invited to a Puffy party once.
Whoa, really?
I was at the Fountain Blue during the Revolt Music Conference once, and some dude ran into me. This was like 10, 11 years ago. And this dude ran into me, and he said he was somebody with Jermaine Dupri. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what's up? And he's like, yo, come out with us. We gonna kick it with Puff. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it was like 12:30, and I ain't heard nothing, man. I went to sleep, right? And the next day, he was like, oh, yeah, we 9 o'clock in the morning. Oh, yeah, partner, we just getting back in. And looking back on it, I did that at the absolute right time, because it sounded like if the party didn't get cracking until 2, from what I've been reading and gleaning about kicking it in Puff world, that was about the time where look, the way somebody put it once, I'm going to sanitize this because my mama listened. But imagine you go to a party and you think it's gonna be some girls, and it turned out you the girls.
You're the girls.
You are the entertainment.
This is how much you think of me, that you have set me up for Cuba Gooding Jr.
That's all I'm saying, man. Like, I couldn't even be afraid at that point. The idea that you said to yourself that you was going to set me out for Cuba Gooding. You know that's insulting. Like, that is you just flexing. That's nothing but flex. Because I know you don't want to be around him.
Oh, yeah. This is what like, the thing is, it's like, that's you telling Cuba Gooding Jr., man, I can make your dreams come true tonight. You know, that's how Cuba keep coming back and partying, bro. You just like, look, man, I got a little something coming through. Don't worry. You gonna like him. It's gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? Now you like, how did I get involved in
Cuba Gooding Jr., man, you got an Oscar. And you got
Hey, you know, The funny thing about this, and it's not funny, but it is, and like, if I was Cuba Gooding Jr., the thing you would know about me is that, hey man, that's not true. Like, you know, I would be like, hey, that didn't happen. I didn't do that. You know, but I don't know. Maybe Cuba Gooding Jr. has an Instagram account I don't follow, and he's released a statement. But I would want to get in front of that story.
Well, no. Cuba Gooding Jr. got too much going on. He need to just act like this ain't going on. Just imagine you pull up in the section and you sit down, and next thing you know, he's like looking at you. Everybody plays the fool. You the fool.
I was like, check.
Yeah, not even check, please. It's like, hey, man, where the bathroom at? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I'll be right back. Yo, you left your bag. You know what? You keep that shit, nigga.
That's fine. And actually, you're right, because check take too long. You know, I was like, hey man, I'm sure they got it too.
He went up there like, yo, is that Marcus Allen? Yo, my favorite football player. I'm gonna be right back. I'm about to be out here. I'm gone, dog.
Bro, I was like, hey man. I mean, just that image. I mean, man, again, the image of Puff and Cuba Gooding Jr. walking you into a party, bro. I mean, that seems like the 10th circle of hell, man.
That's where I get off.
It's like, hey, man.
Hey, hold up.
Have you ever seen the Chappelle?
Hold up.
Go ahead. What?
Hey, yo, Doe. Let me out, Doe.
Let me out.
Let me out.
Bro, you know, the R.I.P. Charlie Murphy, bro. And they were talking about Charlie Murphy and Rick James. I think this didn't make the show. This was like one of the director's cuts. And they were like, man, you know, Rick, you taking it too far, man. You going too far. And Rick was like, ain't no such place. He's like, I want to go to the abyss, you know. And that's kind of like, when you hear that, I want to go to the abyss. And I was like, yo, that's what that party sounds like.
No, man, we needed a Kendrick Lamar from another generation. LeBron, don't leave your family around him. Steph, don't leave your family around him. Somebody need to send out the warning. That's a Kendrick Lamar idea. Kendrick Lamar is like, we gonna nip this before we build another puppy. This is going to cease right here.
I mean, bro, I don't even know how you come back for that, but the way I would not address it is be like, hey man, I'm too famous for that, man. You know, that's not the correct response to the allegations.
And this is the whole point of why you can't do that, right? Like everything that we talking about with Puff, because like I was thinking about, you know, just talking about just the nature of the industry and what it produces and what it turns people into. Like all these dudes, like Berry Gordy, who has a terrible reputation for paying his artists. His defense always was this. I took the exact same contract that MGM or whatever the record label of repute at the time was. I just took their boilerplate contract and passed it on to them. This was how payment worked. Like he's the one that gets singled out because it's how you go, you know, you'd be your own people type stuff. But the argument that he was making was like, this is just the game. This is what it is. Like it is a terrible game. And you got to have, and the thing to make it worse for artists is, the only way to save yourself from it is you got to have some gangsters yourself. Like you can show up in there with pepper and bay leaf and think you about to steal your way out of this. But no, man, Firthwit and Maya are not going to get you out of this.
I mean, the thing is that, I mean, you can't, to make it in that industry, bro, like you really just have to pretty much accept that it's going, you're not really going to be able to avoid. I mean, look at what's going on with Meg Thee Stallion, bro. Like to get into that industry, the way that thing gets started is that you're going to have to take a haircut, bro.
Yeah.
And maybe you can stay in long enough to finally start making some real money. But you're right. I mean, Puffy did not come up with that alone. The show Unsung or Behind the Music, them shows ain't start because everybody worked for Bad Boy. They work for all the people over the industry, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Keith Richards, I think Keith Richards said everybody in the record industry pays a $10 million lesson. I forget what the number was that he threw out there. Because, you know, they got no say-so on any of that stuff before, I want to say, 1969 or 1970. So, like, they don't get a dime off Satisfaction. They don't get a dime off Painted Black. They don't get that. And the way they got, if you look that up, if I'm not mistaken, the way that they got, this is totally different than the Puffy situation. But the way they got was Alan Klein, who should have his own music in every music documentary that sound like Jaws is coming. Alan Klein started a new company called Rolling Stones, Inc. And they thought that and the Stones started a company called Rolling Stones, Ltd. and they thought they were signing the papers for Rolling Stones Ltd. When in reality, Alan Klein was sending the stuff over to Rolling Stones Inc., which is the American company that was his. It was something like it was some form of chicanery in that way. But what we're saying about Puffy, and this is the terrifying part that should jump out, we're talking about an industry with all these terrible people who engage in all these forms of shenanigans. And he is standing atop as an apex predator, not as an apex predator just simply in terms of what he's doing to your money, but what he's doing to people. And that is the most jarring thing, that this could have happened to a zillion people, you would think, except it's happening to him. Either his luck is bad or he stands uniquely in this place as his own level of terrible.
Well, we don't have to get into it too deep here, but I mean, there has always been the suggestion that Puff is protected. You know what I mean? And that, like, there are reasons for that protection, right? So that, like, you could reasonably infer that the reason that people have not, you know, pressed charges against him before, or very rarely people with things to lose, or that he's not faced his comeuppance because, you know, he's protected in a way unlike a lot of other folk. And there might be something to that.
Let me tell you this. Only protection he got, he going to be out there in that lotus pose in Bali with Russell Simmons.
I was about to say, I was like, hey, man, I mean, Russell Simmons about to just scoot his little yoga mat over.
Yo, bro.
Make some room for...
First of all, I am shocked that anybody's willing to go over there to Bali and take a picture with that man. Mind blowing. But when Puff put out that sad ass apology, I looked at that video and I was like, oh, he looked like he in the next room over from Russ. He looked like he was about to go over there and eat an Impossible Burger and do some yoga.
I know, kind of like your sincerity. I mean, no, people are going to be disinclined to believe him anyway for totally understandable reasons. But one thing you could have done, just gone to a room that looked a little more serious than where you were at. Or, you know, you don't want to look like you're in the Colorado room at R. Kelly's house. You know what I mean?
He had option two. Shut the fuck up. He could have just shut up.
Too.
There was no, like, I don't care if it's statute of limitations saves you. He's just like, man, I was at rock bottom.
But, you know, I kind of understand, Bo, because, again, we live in a time, man, like, there's no, I mean, I would like to say that he's going to be excised from polite society, but.
Oh, no.
Probably.
No, he's done.
Right. But I can understand why he may think, man, I could just ride this out. Because, I mean, he was posting even before this. He was posting on Instagram like nothing was going on. Like, this is after he had been raided. And I'm just like, he's delusional.
It is amazing how much we require seeing you knock that woman out.
Yeah.
Right. Hearing about it, simply knowing it. No, we got to see it. Like, I am but so judgmental about, like, the idea I'm not going to listen to your music because ... I don't really get into that because, honestly, I'd have to burn all these records. Like, if we being honest, like, you call it what you want, but I'm just saying this. We all picking and choosing, okay? Miles Davis wrote an autobiography that basically should be called I'm the Worst, right? And he is basically talking about beating these women, explaining why it was okay, right? Cicely Tyson thought she was too good. Like, we talk about women that we've heard of, right? Women who we are familiar with. Bill Withers, and I remember when Bill Withers died. By the way, I make these points on Twitter, and the panderers all get quiet when I talk about this, whether it be Marvin Gaye, Bill Withers, where there's a story about Bill Withers got arrested because Denise Nicholas called him from Phoenix, where she was working on some movie, to break up with him. And he drove the 6 hours from LA, showed up at the hotel room, and allegedly beat her ass right there. Yeah. She didn't press charges or whatever it is, but this is there. We know this. And when Bill Withers put that documentary out about 15 years ago, it was like Denise Nicholas never happened. A very, very famous woman that we knew about, that people were very familiar with, just acted like it wasn't there, just moved on to new wife, and everybody just sat there and played it cool like it wasn't a thing. We can go up and down the list of these guys. James Brown is what I always talk about, where I'm a huge James Brown fan, and I still be listening to James Brown. I'm not going to front, right? Yeah. We can go up and down this list, but if you ain't got nobody showing this to you,
right?
Nobody, or Chris Brown took a bit of a hit, but not completely, but that's because we saw her. And we just couldn't believe that beautiful woman looked like that.
He can't get to the places that he probably should have been able to go as a result of that.
He made a very interesting pivot. Because if you remember, when
he made the Black Mamba pivot.
Like when he was trying, well, even worse though, right? Because like Black Mamba he didn't become a grad chapter blood. Like when Chris,
of course, right,
like when Chris Brown was trying to fix it, he was going on them shows dressed like Orville Redenbacher. You remember that? Like he was in there like wearing cardigans. They put him in
all. Did he go with Larry King or something too?
I think so.
Like a little Poplin shirt or something. Yeah.
And then once he realized it wasn't happening, he went and got down with the set. And was like, this is my lane. And it worked. I ain't heard a Chris Brown song myself now in gotta be 15, 20 years. But
no, you probably heard it. You probably don't even recognize it as a Chris Brown
song.
Okay,
no, I know the last one I heard.
What's that?
When a rich wants you and your man can't do nothing for you. I would also like to note, I thought he got a bad rap for that song.
I mean,
he wasn't saying that they all weren't loyal. He was simply making the point that when I roll up, she ain't loyal, which is the story of his life.
I can make her disloyal. I mean, I kind of feel that. I mean, the thing is like, I would be a fool to sit here and pretend that Chris Brown ain't talented. You know what I'm saying? But like, you ain't gonna see me going to no concert or nothing like that, right? I'm not intentionally seeking his stuff out.
They let him moonwalk at the Michael Jackson tribute, and we was about to let him back then.
I know, man.
But once we see it, once we witness it, can't go back. And that's why I think Puff is completely finished.
I think he is too. I just wonder if he's ever gonna. He may not realize it. Well, it depends if he actually gets on that plane to Bali.
Yeah.
Or you know what I'm saying, or whatever. If he ends up going to prison, but I don't. Maybe somebody needs to tell him that it's over for him.
It don't sound like he got no money either.
I mean, people need to think about how he been able to make money over the last few years. Like he ain't. I mean, you just look at like how he's famous and what he actually does. Like,
how you gonna keep paying for this stuff? That's all I'm asking. How you gonna keep paying for this stuff?
I mean, all them deals, but the Diageo, what's that? Diego, with the vodka joint, like that's dried up. Like he made his money through branding basically in the last decade or so. Well, that brand is pretty tarnished, I'd say right now.
He's done. But it's I don't know. Like he deserves, for what I can tell, everything that he gets, right? But this is a toppling of a titanic figure of the last 30 years. Like, I don't believe in this thing where we act like people never existed, right? Like the Cosby Show happened. We can't pretend like it didn't happen. Bill Cosby was a thing. It happened. And, this right here, though, I think that we can act like he didn't happen and it won't really mean a thing because ultimately he didn't produce anything. He just got over.
He got over. I mean, again, I think like if we're more generous to the early part of his career, then like that legacy will be there. But yeah, like as a popular cultural figure now, if he were to disappear, I don't think anybody would miss him.
But I'm saying even going back, he wasn't wildly influential. Like he was influential in the visual aesthetic sense, right? Like the merger of R&B and hip hop as a visual aesthetic thing. Like that Mary J.
That's a big deal to our generation.
Well, no, I do. And let me be fair to him. That first Mary J. Blige album is way more important than anybody gives it credit for because that is the hip hop rap overlap album. Like you start with New Jack Swing, but then you wind up with something that's a little bit more hardcore. And she navigated that space well, and he created the visuals that then take you to My Life. That sad ass out make my speed, but it matters a lot to people.
Oh,
a lot to people, and it was again another aesthetic merger, and he's a big deal in that. Jodeci, all that, like. I guess as much as I want to say he doesn't matter, he does. He's harder to like retroactively cancel because his association with people is less direct, but still is influential. Like you gonna give up Forever My Lady just because Puffy out here tripping? I bet you not.
The Fantasy remix with Mariah Carey? You gonna get that?
Change the game. I mean, change the game.
Yeah. I mean bro. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, man. So I think that like it'll be impossible to not acknowledge the impact he had on the music of our generation. Yes. I just wonder if it'll matter to these kids. I mean, I don't know what he means to them.
Yeah, I know maybe nothing. We should have known something was up with that man when he stole Al B. Sure's child from him.
Bro.
I don't think we talk about that enough.
I mean, I one thing I would say is like, hey man, it's kind of hard. I mean, your son, it's hard to steal your son though too. If you, the son had some say in that, and I was like, well, why didn't he want to roll with his daddy? Man, and he looked like his daddy.
Joe,
I mean, he looked like his daddy.
Joe. Puffy blows people's cars up allegedly.
Fair point.
Puffy
fair
blows
point.
people's cars up. That's all I'm saying. Like, what? Albie Shore was like, what am I gonna
Cudi's
do?
representative. Yeah, that actually happened.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do?
Oh.
What I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
Right? Like that was the whole thing about it. The fact that you think Albie Shore was just like, fine, you can have him.
Well, also the other thing too is that, like, do you think? I mean, how do you know that you can blow somebody's car up and get it done? Like, you have to practice that, right?
Okay. I personally feel like I know enough people in this world that I can like get some things done, right? Like, you may have never thought about it, but we all, well, a lot of us know somebody if it came down to it, if we need somebody to go do some things.
Yeah.
It might take a couple of calls, but we could, like, I would know where my first call would go to get me to the next call, to get me to the call.
Bo telling you he got shooters.
I'm just saying, no.
Town.
I'm saying that we know people who know people, right? I wouldn't know where to begin to call somebody to blow up a car.
I mean, dog. I mean, that is a whole nother level of like underworld shit. You know,
Yes.
like who you call? Like, first of all, know you're gonna get it done correctly, not catch up to a whole bunch of other people in it, you know, and kill some bystanders.
Do such a thing? That's the ultimate. Who would do? And by the way, shout out to you, Kid Cudi. I don't really know how you survived that. Like, maybe Puffy didn't know who to call to blow up a car neither. Like, he called somebody, was like, do it, and they were like, okay.
Okay, I guess I'll get some dynamite. Or, I don't know, some Acme.
They got the Acme dynamite. They got the Acme dynamite trying to blow up Kid Cudi's car.
He's like, where Wile E. Coyote get that stuff at, man? You know,
the wires like yellow and blue.
Right.
Oh boy, I feel like this wasn't supposed to end in a laughy place, but hey, there's worse ways to do it. Joel Anderson.
That's right.
Check him out on Slate. Webby Award winner. You know what I'm saying? Out here running it.
Webby Award winner. That's right. Appreciate you, bro. You the one running it, man.
No,
you the one about to watch basketball with Vince Carter tonight. So,
you're the one riding with suckers whenever you get a chance. You know what I mean?
See, I was trying to be nice. You want to do it, but you want better.
My bad. You don't ride with suckers whenever you get a chance. You are protective of suckers because you had a good heart.
I don't like bullies. You know what I'm saying? Like what Zach Randolph said. Where I'm from, bullies get bullied. You know?
Yeah, I feel you. Missouri City go hard, man. I appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Sean, you got prize picks for the people?
Sure do, Bo. Mavs, Timberwolves, the game you'll be calling on the Allcast. Let's take PJ Washington, 19 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. I'll take more. Kyrie Irving, 30 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. I'll take more there. And then Derrick Jones Jr., 10 and a half points. Jaden McDaniels, 12 and a half points. I'll take more. I was curious, Bo, what your thoughts heading into this game will be. Do you have any predictions?
This whole series is a little tricky for me. On paper, it's the Mavs. No, excuse me. On paper, it's the Timberwolves. They've got the size. They got all that. What else they got, though? What else they got? They got allegations. Come on, man. They got allegations. I'm just saying.
You need to stop that.
They got allegations.
You got to stop that.
They got allegations.
Get that hate out your heart.
They got allegations.
You the one.
They got allegations.
By the way, I also like how Sean thinks PJ Washington being a family man has really improved his career. You know, he's taking off being a family man. Really.
hey, look, man. Zion started getting his right once he became a family man. You know.
Hey, man, it's like being a father changed people.
Yeah, man.
You know?
It'll lock you in. It'll lock you in. So yeah, all I'm saying is the allegations have yet to be adjudicated, and so I am going to give you a pick after game 2. That will let me know. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. That's Sean Yu. He handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.